Welcome to the Midlife Crisis. Yeah, Midlife Crisis. Anyway, random thoughts. Random thoughts about raising children. I have children. I have children both by blood and soon to be by marriage. And I love them all. Different parents raise their children in different ways, and that's pretty much the subject matter of what I'm talking about. Like, raising kids, what is that? Like, how do we do it? What's the best way? What's the best course of action? One of the statements that I hear most often is, let a kid be a kid. You know, oh, they're just kids. You're being too strict. Let a kid be a kid. And contrary to popular belief, I believe that statement. I do believe that kids should be kids. However, I think parents need to be parents. And I think that's what's missing nowadays with this gentle parenting style that's happening. It works for some children. Don't get me wrong. I don't think one style necessarily works for all kids. I think every child is different. Every child is going to require a different level of attention, a different level of interaction. Not to say that there's any child out there that doesn't need it at all. I think all children need it, but I just think that you have to tweak it depending on the child. You know, you have to know your child, know what they're into, know what they respond to, and then you have to do that. I think that's the art of parenthood, especially if you have multiple children. Figuring that out. Making sure that you're attentive to that and that you're able to supply what your child or children need. I started thinking about this because I'm thinking about one of my sons, and this is one of my sons that is not of my blood. So I came into his life a little later on, when he was about 7, and you know, he's used to a certain lifestyle. He's used to being able to jump off of couches and to be as loud as he wants, whether he's inside of the house or not, and to listen to his mother only when she's looking. And when she's not looking, then he's going to do whatever he wants. And no shame on my fiance, no shame on my son, because I'm thinking of other situations of other young boys that I've been introduced to who have been allowed to do much the same thing. And therein, I think, lies the role of a father, a role of a parent. Like, yes, you do want to jump around. And by all means, I think you should. You're a young boy. You got all this energy. I think of National Geographic often when you think of lion cubs, just, you know, bouncing all around and things like that. But when I also think of National Geographic, what normally happens? The parents, the older lions, the kids bouncing around, they let them bounce around for a while and, you know, jump on their heads and things like that. But after a while, mom and dad both be like, rawr, you know, like, calm that down. And then they end up going over with their other siblings, older, younger, but they end up playing in that little sibling ball, if you will. You know, and they're bouncing around and biting on each other and nipping and scratching and running and playing and yelping and crying and roaring. And it just seems like a happy existence. And I think we as humans have gotten away from that. We as humans put them in front of a screen and think that's childhood. We as humans, you know, placate them with candies and sweet foods and cakes and cookies and say that, you know, they should be fine with that. And they're telling us, naturally, they're telling us, I've got way more energy than this screen is going to help me do something with. I need to go out and do something different. So yeah, jumping off of couches, nah. You know, yeah, that's a rule in the house. You can't jump off of couches. Being as loud as you want in the house, nah, that's a rule in the house. You can't do that. But that's what this wonderful thing that God invented called outside is for. Go outside. You want to punch and pull on people and yank and things like that? I'm an adult. I got aches and pains and things. I gotta save my energy for certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta stretch now in the morning. I have to. It's not an option. It's not because I'm about to do a certain activity. It's because I want to get up and walk. So I don't necessarily have, you know, a whole bunch of energy to be running and jumping and things like that. But you know who does? Other kids your age. You know who does? Folks outside. You want to yell to the top of your lungs? Go out into the woods and let it rip. You want to go jump off some stuff? Climb a tree. That's what we used to do. Climb a tree, get on top of some rocks, roll in the grass, do all of that stuff. I think children need that. I think they need both sides of it. I think you need to understand when you're in a certain environment, you can't do what you want to do. And that sounds like, that sounds nasty even saying that. That sounds dirty coming out of my mouth. But what I mean by that is, there is a certain appropriate behavior for certain environments. Not that I'm trying to say that you need to bow down or kowtow to the powers that be, that you need to yield to authority in all senses. I honestly don't believe that. However, I think you do need to act with a certain level of discipline and decorum. And it's on us as parents to show you that. When you're inside of the house, use your inside voice. When you're sitting on a couch, that's what the couch is for, sitting. It is not a piece of gymnastic equipment. You are not doing a whole tumbling pass on the couch. I know, it's fun. And we all have jumped on some beds or two in our lives and things like that. And once we get older, we figure out why we can't jump on beds. Because what used to be a boing, 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 now becomes a boing, boing, crack. And it's like, oh, now you're sleeping on a broken bed for a while because you wanted to jump on it. So it's one of those things, like, you need to understand that. But you know what never breaks? Outside. Outside never breaks. I don't care if you break a tree branch. Guess what? Another one grows back, and there's about 50 more trees on that side over there. So you can go outside and cut up, like, do your thing, interact with nature. Like, there was a situation where my younger children wanted to go out and mess with some geese that had just hatched some babies. We advise against that because, of course, you know, geese are protected and things like that. But now thinking back on it, I don't think we should have. Go out and play with those geese. See what happens. Get your first up-close encounter with nature. And when you're attacked by a whole bunch of geese who are protecting their children, now you understand. That's another life lesson. You need to figure that out. Again, it's like National Geographic. You know, when that lion first discovers that porcupine, it's like, ooh, toy. And then he plays with it. And then he's like, ooh, not a toy. I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, that's how you learn stuff. That's what happened. I'm not saying that, you know, put your kids in danger. I'm not saying that, you know, that you just leave them out to the wilds and let nature actually teach them. But I'm also not saying that, you know, you need to have them under such strict discipline and a set of rules that they can't stretch their legs. I'm just saying it's an appropriate time and place for everything. And it's up to us as parents to teach them that appropriate time and place. Let a kid be a kid. By all means, let a kid be a kid. But let a kid know where there's a kid-friendly zone. Let a kid know where the ball pit is. You want to jump around? You can't do it where they're serving the burgers at, but you can do it over here in this ball pit. So let me let you in there and let you go hard as I don't know what. Go hard as you want to in this ball pit and have fun. A little short one today, but just my thoughts.